Great morning, you guys. Great morning. Great morning. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Let me share. Come on in. Come on in. Y'all, this word today, well, God been giving hard words. Like, that's what he's doing right now because he needs us to wake up, because we're still walking around asleep. We're sleepwalking, and God is tired of it. So he's waking us up. Now, it's up to us to decide that we are going to literally walk in the wokeness, okay? It's up to us to decide that we're going to walk in the wokeness. Great morning, Jackie. Yes, North Carolina, throw your hands up. Hey, Mike. Hey, Miss Veranda. Hey, Summerlin. Hey, Mardan. Great morning, great morning. You guys do me a favor. Go ahead and share the broadcast. Share the broadcast, and we're going to go on and get started. Share the broadcast. Now, I'm going to give y'all a chance to get in here before I get started. But y'all, I just need you to know it's time to cut some stuff. It's time to cut some stuff. Thank you, Jackie, for sharing. It's time to cut some stuff. Listen, while we're waiting for the rest of the people, go ahead, grab your bottle of Alive and shake it up. Ooh, ooh, shake it up. And we're going to pour up our shots and take our shots together. Last night we had a home party, a home launch party. Listen, it was amazing. We had a great time. Enjoyed ourselves. Helped some folks experience the power of that thing called Alive. Okay, so here's to being fully alive, connected to the right people, and purposed, focused, and determined to get to our destiny. Cheers. By God today. Let me go on and pour my husband up. So listen, you guys, we're on day 4 of the fast, our 21-day fast. And today we're talking about people, which is in alignment with what God really had in my heart anyway. So we're going to talk about it because guess what? It needs to be talked about. Somebody needs to say it. So it looks like I'm going to be the one to say it today. Y'all can be mad. Y'all cannot agree. It's your prerogative, but this is my life. So I'm going to say what God say, and it is what it is. So we're talking about people, and I'm going to tell y'all something. We have a tendency to allow people in our relationships with people to prevent us from getting to our destiny for a number of reasons, but I just want to talk about some of it, okay? And I'm going to start at home. Let's start at home. We always talk about the people outside the house, but let's start at home. And when I say at home, I don't necessarily mean your house that you're living in or where you're living. I'm talking about at home with your peoples, your family, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the fact that everybody can't go. And you can't you can't let them make you feel bad because they can't go. So look. Family is an amazing thing. It is a gift from God. But do you know that sometimes people don't understand, recognize, or value family? Not for real, not in the real sense of it. I'm going to tell you something. I am always amazed at how people pick and choose when it's good to be a part of the family. See, when you're a part of the family, you don't get to pick and choose when you're a part of the family. You're a part of the family. When we're connected, we're connected. You can't say, oh, we connected today, but we not connected tomorrow. Because let me tell y'all something. Y'all need to stop giving people this in and out access to your life. And I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your aunt, your uncle, your kids. Listen to me. Your grandmama, your granddaddy. Listen to me. Your cousins. I don't care who it is. You need to stop giving people in and out access to your life. Let them come in when they want to, when it's convenient for them, and then exit when you don't do what they want you to do the way they want you to do it. I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all know that my language is not always the prettiest, but I promise you, I got a F you in my spirit for those who want to assault me, whether it is spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. It is not happening. I can love you with the love of the Lord. I can love you to life and life more abundant. But what I will not do, angel number 111, is allow you to keep running in and out of my life. You can't keep running in and out of my life. Keep running. No. Angel number 122, and I'm going to tell you something. Many times, because we love people, because we know the stuff that they deal with, because we know that they got some issues, because we may even feel guilt, listen, we will allow people to run in and out of our life. But at some point, check this out now, at some point, in order for you to get to destiny, you need to establish some boundaries. Now, everybody ain't going to like your boundaries. Everybody ain't going to agree with your boundaries. So what? So what? Listen, when you get to the place where you know, okay, I've got to establish a boundary. Establish the boundary. There's no shame in the establishment of boundaries. Set your boundaries. Set your boundaries. Let me talk to the parents for a minute. How many of you on here are parents? If you're a parent, put me in the comments. If you're a parent, put me in the comments. Because we're getting ready to break something today. If you're a parent, put me in the comments. All right, Christina, Donnell, Jackie. All right. Angel number 122. Keep going. Summerlin. Corey. Keep going. Keep going. Where are my parents? Where are my parents? Where are my parents? I want to talk to the parents for a minute. I want to talk to the parents for a minute because I want to set y'all free today. I want to set y'all. Yeah, I said set the parents free. I said it. I said what I said. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Children start learning very early on. Yes, Rena. Yes, Miss Veranda. How to pit their parents against one another. Very early on, they learn how to do that. They become masters of manipulation. They know what to do and where to go and who to say it to get what they want, to get the desired result. I see you, baby. They learn it. They started when they're little. They keep mastering it into their teenage years. By the time they are freaking adults, they have become masters of manipulation. How do I know I am someone's child? Listen to me. I'm someone's child. But guess what? I come from a generation where some of the stuff that this generation of kids does and say, we would have never done. Here you go, babe. Because we would have got the absolute snot knocked out of us. Our parents didn't care nothing about that mess. You getting chopped in the throat, backhanded in the mouth, hit with an extension cord. Listen, I'm trying to tell you. And the girls learn how to master manipulate the daddies, and the granddaddies, and the boys learn how to master manipulate the mamas. Everybody getting manipulated in this piece, okay? Until we make a decision. Hey, can you fix me, please, a hot cup of water and some coffee? Thank you, Pumpkin. I love you. Yeah. Rena said, yes, my 3-year-old had her dad at first until he saw it against him. Yeah, that's what they do. Angel number 133. Now check this out. As parents, I'm not going to excuse anything that we get wrong. We get stuff wrong. Our parents got stuff wrong. Their parents got stuff wrong. We got stuff wrong. We did the best we could with what we had. That's what you do. Period. Do not allow your children, little children, teenage children, grown children, to hold you hostage to what you did or did not do as a parent. Don't do it. What you do is you listen to them, you acknowledge what you got wrong, you apologize for that, you ask for forgiveness, and you move forward. I'm going to tell y'all something. I ain't never been the one to allow nobody to keep throwing nothing in my face or trying to attack me or make me feel like I'm a horrible person. I've never done that. I didn't do it in relationships. I don't care. I'm not doing it with my kids. I'm not doing it. You can think what you want to think about me as a mama. You do better. You can think what you want to think about me as a grandmama. You do better when you get some grandkids. You can think what you want to think, because I promise you, they never know all of the story. They know the piece that they can recognize, so they don't see the behind the scenes stuff, right? So listen, you better stop allowing them to hold you hostage and make you feel guilty and make you feel like you're supposed to always rescue them. Listen, F them kids. I said what I said. You grown. When you get grown, you have to assume responsibility for your life, your choices, and your consequences. I said what I said. F them kids with their whining, ungrateful selves. Forget them. That's what I meant. Just forget them. That's all. Don't allow that to tap into your psyche, because guess what? It will keep you from going where God is trying to take you. Do you not know that the enemy knows all of your sensitive spots? All of them. And he knows that as parents, one of our greatest sensitive spots is our kids. Why? We'll put our life on the line for our kids. We'll die for our kids. We'll do things that we otherwise wouldn't do for our kids. Our desire is to protect our kids. Make sure they have what they need, not necessarily what they want, but what they need. And depending on the calling on your life, and I'm just going to be very transparent with you, depending on the calling of your life is going to determine the stuff that you've had to go through, which also your kids had to go through. They didn't ask to go through it, but they're a part of the lineage, so they got to go through it. It is what it is. This is our journey. It's what produces greatness. Greatness is not produced in complacency. Greatness is not produced in a place where there is no accountability. Greatness is not produced there. You can have material things, but it doesn't mean you're great. Greatness is determined by your ability to walk in your purpose and get to your destiny. I don't care how much money you got, what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive. If you are not in purpose, if you are not on your way to destiny, then you are not great. One of the hardest things in the world to do as a parent is to let your kids go. To realize that they're grown, that they are responsible for their actions and their choices. That's difficult to do, because everything in you wants to protect them, like you did when they were little. When you told them, Johnny, don't jump off of that, Johnny, you're going to hurt yourself. And Johnny jumped off. And you said, Johnny, don't do that again because you're going to hurt yourself. And Johnny jumped off. He went a little higher. We say, Johnny, please don't do that, Johnny, because you're going to get hurt and I don't want you to get hurt. And Johnny went to the top of the top bunk, jumped off and broke his arm. And you said, Johnny, I told you not to do this. I knew this was going to happen. As parents, we still doing that with our kids, our grown kids. We still crying because we're trying to save them. But I want to help somebody today. I want to alleviate your burden. I want to take some weight off your shoulders. You cannot live nor control the decisions of a grown person. You got to let them make their choices and deal with their consequences. I'm not saying that you're not there for moral support. I'm not saying that you're not there in ways that still allows you to maintain some boundaries. But if they don't appreciate it, if they don't want it, stop trying to insert yourself in places and situations where they don't want you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because then I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You still going to be the bad person. You still going to be the villain. You're going to be the villain. You've got to understand something. And this is hard for us as parents. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. I remember one time, oh God, like y'all, I just be telling on myself. But I remember one time, my ex-husband and I, and we had there was a couple of incidences along these lines. So I can't remember which one it was. We had separated, and one of the things that I determined was I would never be the mother that kept my kids away from their daddy. Okay. And when we got our divorce, I couldn't get help. They said I made too much money, although I didn't make too much money. I was struggling, but according to them, I made too much money. And so when we got our divorce, I told my husband, I said, this is what we'll do. I said, we can rotate who has them. You get them the first year, I'll get them the next year, until they're at the age where they can make a decision about who they want to live with, right? I think we were there to file for the divorce, and his family came to the court. They had arranged for him. Thank you, babe. They had arranged for him. Anyway, somebody called because there was a warrant, and he got picked up. Perfect, babe. Thank you. He got picked up so he wouldn't be in court. And when we were leaving the courthouse, because the judge had to push it, because, so that he could, I don't know. No, let me tell you what it was. He had the kids that first year. He left the kids with his aunt. And I talked to the aunt. I said, listen, I don't want to move them again. It's the middle of the school year. They just changed schools in the school year. I don't want to change them again. If you keep them, I'll send you money. And that's what I did. I sent money. Well, anyway, it was this whole big thing that began to arise. Even though I was sending money, even though I was calling to check on them, even though I was doing those things. And she decided to file for custody of my kids, saying that we abandoned them. Okay. We had gone to court. And I remember, I don't know if it was one of the times, y'all, we was in court a couple of different times where his folks was there, but one of the times we were leaving the court. And as we were leaving the court, his mother said to me, what kind of mother would leave their kids anyway? And I had to pause for a minute and think about that thing, because I'm like, did you raise your kids? You asking me? What kind of, because I know my husband, like me, was raised by his grandparents. And I told her out my mouth, I said, well, I'll tell you what, when you raise some kids, because you didn't raise yours, then you can say something to me. Now, I know it was borderline disrespectful, but that day, I didn't care, because you know what? I'd been respectful. I tried to be nice. I tried to do those things. And I was just like, I know you're not coming from my parenting when your son left them. What? I left them with their father. That's their father, right? So it started this whole journey, okay? Because during that time, things were said to my kids that were not true. Like they were told that, listen, it was a mess. That's what I'm going to say. It was a mess. And I'm the type of person where when it's evident to me that people don't mess with me, I'm good on you. You don't mess with me, I don't mess with you, I'm good. Like, I ain't got to mess with you. It's not a requirement. So when you know, listen to me, when you know that people's intent towards you, intent towards your family is not necessarily positive, you got to learn how to disconnect regardless of the relationship. You can't. You got to learn how to disconnect. Our problem is we don't want to disconnect from people that we love. And I'm going to tell you this. When I did the analogy in the park where the kids were holding on to each other and I'm pulling, trying to get them to freedom, right? You got to understand that love lets go so that you can get to destiny. Love doesn't try to hold you back. Love is not resentful, nor is it jealous. Love is more than all of that. And I'm in a place in my life, and I have been for a few years now, where everybody can get gone, and I'm still going to follow God. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like it. I've been in this place, right? And so when you find yourself in that place right there, expect the enemy to attack in your family. It ain't going to be outside people. It ain't going to be outside people. It's going to be them kids that you fed. It's going to be that spouse that you moved for. It's going to be, listen to me, it's going to be your parents that you sacrificed for. Listen to me. When the enemy is trying to keep you from getting to destiny, he's going to use your sensitive spot. And when you are a parent and you love your children, oh, you can bet he's going to try to use your children. You can bet he's going to try to use them. They're going to try to make you think you the worst parent in the world. You didn't ever do nothing for them. You didn't feed them. They almost starved. You didn't get them something for Christmas. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, he will use your children. The enemy don't care who he uses. He uses whoever is most easily manipulated. And whoever is most easily manipulated, and that tends to be the one that's the least stable, right? The one who has not fully accepted responsibility for their life. The ones that are looking for excuses for why they are where they are and the way they are. Let me tell y'all something. At 17 years old, I was on my own. When my grandmother died, I was pretty much on my own. I lived with my aunt, but I was pretty much on my own. When I went to college, I didn't call home. I couldn't call home and say, hey, can you send me some money? Because I knew they didn't have no money to send me like that. I had to figure it out. From 17 to now, I have been figuring it out on my own. And guess what? I didn't expect them to do that. I didn't expect them to do that. Anything they did for me, they did out of the goodness and the kindness of their heart because they were not obligated because I was grown. I was grown. I don't know who has convinced these grown children, because that's what they are, grown children, that they're owed something. If I carried you for the 9 months I carried you, growing inside of me, no charge. If I didn't charge you for that, don't you try to charge me for your life as an adult. For the nights I sat up with you, worrying and praying for you, no charge. For the times I couldn't go to work, let alone go to church, no charge. Listen to me. It is time to release yourself from the expectations of grown people who you have brought into this world, you are not obligated to make their life easier. Anything you do for them, you do out of the goodness and the kindness of your heart because you love them, right? But you don't have to do everything they want you to do. F them kids. Forget them. At some point, every single person must assume responsibility for their life. You cannot blame who you are and where you are on your past or on your parents. At some point, you got to say, I'm taking the reins of my life and I'm going to live my life. And if anything wasn't what I wanted it to be, I am going to create the life that I want for my children. That's all you can do. You can't go back in time. So you can't lord over someone what they didn't do because you are freaking grown. If it didn't happen, it didn't happen. It is what it is. When are you going to grow up? Own your life because it belongs to you. Once your parents bring you into the world, they've given you life. Now the life that you have belongs to you. And what you do with it is up to you. Listen, Corey gonna give me the list for the time and the tears and the cost through the years. When you add it all up, the full cost of our love is no charge. I refuse. Y'all can do what you want to. I'm at a point in my life where if your presence on my boat is causing turbulence, if the fact that you are here has caused a storm to come upon me that I otherwise would not be in, were you not on my boat, I am throwing you over. I'm throwing you off my boat. Get off my boat. Y'all think it's noble to keep them on your boat, to go through unnecessary storms, to have your destiny thwarted because somebody don't want to grow up and assume responsibility for themselves and their lives and their choices. You think that that is noble and that is what God would have you to do. Read the book. You can forgive them, you can love them, and not have them on your boat. I'm trying to help somebody today. You stuck in some places and some situations because you spent your life trying to do for your kids and they done went on with their life and they don't want to do for you. My God. You done sacrificed. You went into debt. You pawned stuff. You gave up stuff to make sure that they had, and they telling you everything you did wrong. Well, when I was 7 months old, you didn't change my diaper right. When you wiped me, I got a rash because my diaper, I was allergic to it. And you didn't know, but you still put it on me. I gave you life. And if I gave you life, I'm telling you, that's why I tell y'all, I don't care the worst parent in the world, the one that left you, right? They abandoned you, they gave you up for adoption. I'm trying to help somebody today. Listen, they did what they were intended to do in your life, and that was give you life. Honor that if you don't honor nothing else. You ain't got to honor every choice they make. Honor that. The fact that they gave you life, honor that. Just honor that. Because God will still bless you when you honor that. It is the dishonor. It is the dishonor that is problematic. It is the dishonor. And we live in a time where people don't understand dishonor. They don't understand it. Let me help you in case you don't know what dishonor is. You don't understand what disrespect is. Let me help you. It is dishonor when you come into my home and then decide that in my home, I'm obligated to take care of you. That's dishonor. It's dishonor. if you ask for my opinion and I give it, and then you mad at me and you stop talking to me and freeze me out, that's dishonor. It's dishonor. If you gotta bring up, oh, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do it, so you don't love us for real. Did you add the stuff that I did do? Or you just focused on what I didn't do that you felt like I should have done? And I don't know this generation that says my children will never have to struggle for anything. My children are free to come into my home all their lives. Listen, I get it. I don't have a problem with my child having a hard time and needing some assistance. I get that. But I'm not obligated to do that. I do that because I love you and I want to give you a chance, but that don't mean you get to walk all over me. That don't mean that you don't have to pay no bills. That don't mean that you can talk to me any kind of way. That don't mean none of that. And I'm going to tell y'all something, and this is the craziest thing in the world. If you pay attention, that manipulative spirit, that spirit of witchcraft, right? That manipulative spirit, that spirit of witchcraft will have you feeling bad, doing good. What? No. Listen, throw them over. Give them back to God. I've given all of my children to God, those that I birthed through my womb and those that became mine in process, however they became mine. I learned to give them to God. I learned how to give them to God. God, you got it. You got it. Because I remember my oldest son and I've shared this story before, but it's worth sharing again, right? My oldest son and I had a season in our lives where we didn't really talk. He was mad at me. He was mad at me because I put him out. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something about me. I don't know what you heard about me, but listen, I'm real clear that you've got to be a participant in your own liberation. And I've been like this, okay? This is not new, right? I probably was more slack with the younger ones, which is why they move the way they move, okay? See, the ones that you're slacker on are going to be the ones that are most disrespectful. Those other ones know not to be disrespectful. They know, listen, they remember the consequences of disrespect in the past. Them younger ones, they didn't get all that, so they don't know. They don't know, so you got to show them later in life. They got to learn later in life. I'm going to tell you something. Listen, I remember I had, he was staying with me, and this was the conditions, right? He was getting out of jail. He had gotten in trouble again because he didn't listen. I had told him some things, and he didn't listen. The consequences of not listening is consequences, okay? So I said, well, listen. I said, I'll come and get you. You can come, you can stay with us. But in order to stay there, you got to either be in school or be working. You have to have a plan for your life. That's it. You got to have a plan. So he came, he worked, and then he decided he wasn't going to work. You're not going to work. Then he's cooking, burnt something in the pot, and I asked him a question. Then why didn't you just go on and clean the pot out? Because the whole house smelled like burnt whatever it was, right? And he said, Mama, don't start. Did you say don't start in my house? I'm trying to check. I don't want to pay any bills in this piece. Oh, I thought I was. And I said, I just asked you a question. He turned around and walked off. Went upstairs in my house. Went up my steps into the room that I paid for. So I go up there and I say, listen, I don't know what's going on. I just asked you a question. He said, Mama, don't start today. I ain't got time for this. Da-da-da-da-da. Who are you talking to right now? Because I know you're not talking to the one that carried you for 9 months, the one that gave birth to you, the one that took care. I know you're not talking to me. I know you're not talking to me. And he said, move, Mama. I'm getting ready to take a shower. And he moved. What? Did you move me in my house? Oh, no. Listen, before I realized what had happened, I had him up on his tippy toes by his throat, up on the wall, pressing. And I said some words that were not nice Christian words, but baby, and I didn't even cuss at that time. Listen, I brought you in this MFing world and I'll take your A out. I don't know who the F you think you effing with, but I will F you up. Baby, I went in and I was pressing. He couldn't breathe. And while he was up on the wall, a tear began to roll down his face. I said, boy, don't you play with me. Don't play with me. I will kill you in here. Oh, you want to let a tear roll now? Oh, now you got a tear? After you done talk trash, move me out of the way in my house? Oh, now you got a tear? Baby, I went on a rampage, the likes of which my kids had never seen before in their lives. But baby, what you not getting ready to do is try me in my house when I'm trying to help you. All I'm doing is trying to help you. And you I'll kill you. Dead. And explain to them what happened. Dead as a doornail. So, we got through it. And he still didn't get a job. And he'd done something else. And I said, listen, you got to go. Now, he thought that it was because of the man that I was seeing, right? It wasn't because of that man. That man begged me, just give him another chance. Give him another chance. I said, no, I'm not giving him another chance. See, what often happened with my kids was they would think that it was the man when it was me. Listen, it was me. I told him to give you a whooping. It was me. It was me. I'm the one telling you to leave. It's me. It's me. I don't need you to think that no man dictates what I do. No, it's me. It's that we had an arrangement. We had an agreement, and you violated the agreement. I put my mama out my house. I know y'all say you are a horrible person. I put my mama out my house. Baby, you got to get off the boat because you are creating a storm in my life that I do not need at this time. Now listen, which one of your kids do you want me to call? Because one of them finna come get you. I can't do it no more. See, we allow those blood ties, those familial ties to keep us locked into unhealthy, dysfunctional situations. I am not doing it. I'm not. You can say what you want to about me. You can say, oh, you're a horrible parent. Oh, you're a horrible daughter. But before I make any decision, I've made clear what my expectations are. I have shown grace. I've exhibited mercy. I've done all of that. When I get to the point where it's got to be something else done, you have exhausted all of the resources that I have for you, and I am through, okay? And when I am through, I'm through. Listen, in order for me to maintain my love for you, the best thing for us to do is to separate. That's the best thing for us to do because I want to be able to love you. And if we keep going the way we're going, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So let me go on, disconnect. Let me go on. Let's shift some things. So my son was upset with me because of that, because I put him out. And he had told people, oh, I put him out. I put him out for an N-word. You know, it's always about a man with me. Da, 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 da. Okay. Now, that could be some partial truth to that, but that wasn't a man that made me do that. I did that because you were being irresponsible. And I saw you were being irresponsible and you weren't being accountable. And I would rather you be out and learn a lesson than to stay and not learn anything and continue to not be accountable. So fast forward. Because I want y'all to understand this. Fast forward. I remember I said, I want us to have a conversation. Because I really need us to get an understanding because that was my firstborn. I love my kids. Listen, I love my kids. Okay. And so I took him. This is a strange pace for a conversation, but nonetheless, this is where I took him. Took him to the cemetery. Not because I was going to kill him or to threaten him, but I took him to the cemetery. Showed him the grave of my grandparents who raised me. And my brother, who he was named after. And I began to share some things with him about my life, about my childhood, which I've been very open with my kids always about my life. And I told him, I said, listen, I love you. And I want us to get an understanding, right? What is the issue? What's your problem with me? And he told me, he said, you always chose a man. I said, I'm sorry you felt like I always chose a man. But really, my goal was for you guys to have a father in the house. That was my goal for y'all. I didn't want you to be raised without a father, and legitimately it was my first marriage. I got married because I really wanted my son to grow up with two parents. I really did. That was my heart's desire because I did not get that. Yes, my grandparents raised me until my grandfather died, but it's not the same. You know, I wanted them to have a male figure. I didn't want them to be raised by a woman alone. And you know, I wanted a male help in raising them, right? And so we talked. And I apologized for those things that I did that hurt him. I apologized for him not feeling like he was a priority, or having him be the man of the house until a man came in the house and then snatching it away from him, right? So I had to apologize for those things. Lesson, single women, stop trying to make your sons the man of the house, because when a man comes into the house, it's going to be a problem, okay? I apologize. One thing about me is I know how to apologize when I'm wrong, right? I can apologize. I can even apologize when I'm not wrong, okay? So we were able to get to a better place. And so I've spent my life trying to make sure that my kids understand that I love them and that I'm there for them, not for them to walk on, because I'm definitely about accountability. I'm all about accountability. I really am. I'm about my accountability, and I'm about other people's accountability. I believe that we all should be accountable for our choices and our actions. And if we want better, then we need to do better, okay? So we got to a place where, you know, we were better. And then he started dating a woman with kids. And he began to understand some things that he could not understand before. Some things that I did made sense to him. He understood. And I remember him saying, "Mama, now I see why." And I watched that boy with kids, and he's me. We say some of the exact same things. When I tell you, he tried to teach them the same lessons that he was taught. And he said, "Mama, thank you. I appreciate you." See, what he couldn't appreciate then, now as a father, he can appreciate. Okay? Sometimes they need some time to really appreciate things. Okay? Sometimes you got to set boundaries in order for people to appreciate your presence in their life. I'll never beg anybody to be in my life, and I don't care who it is. Period. I'm not going to beg you to be in my life. I'm not doing it. Because if you don't see the value of my presence in your life, I'm going to show you the value of my absence. In my absence, you'll begin to see the value, because I'm not begging. Y'all stop begging people to love you, begging people to accept you, begging people. It is rooted in a saboteur called the pleaser. And it means that you're going to do things that are not necessarily beneficial or helpful just to please someone. And I found myself guilty of trying to please my younger children. See, I parented them a lot of times out of guilt. Guilt because their dad and I weren't together. Guilt because we moved. Guilt because of this. Guilt because of that. So I was parenting out of guilt. And when you parent out of guilt, you give children too much leeway. And then they lose their ever-loving minds, right? Stop being a pleaser and holding that stuff in and bottling it up and internalizing it. It's not healthy, it's not productive, and it's creating storms in your life that you don't have to have. Jonah got on the boat trying to avoid God's directive, God's instructions. God told him to do something. He decided he wasn't going to do it. He going the other way. So he got on the boat and created a storm for everyone on the boat that they did not have to go through, simply because he was disobedient. His disobedience created a storm in the lives of people who did not even know him. And so they're in a storm trying to figure out, why am I in this storm? Who are you? And what are you doing here? He said, "Oh, I'm Jonah. Oh, I'm a servant of the Most High God, the Lord thy God, who is great and mighty. And I'm going somewhere. Da da da. I'm getting away from him. Why you get on our boat? You know you running from God. Why you get on our boat?" Y'all got some people on your boat that are running from God while you're running to him. They're creating storms that are preventing you from getting to God, getting to the place called destiny, the place that he's sending you. They're on your boat creating storms. And then check this out. They asked Jonah, what can we do to stop this storm? He said, throw me over. I want y'all to listen to the level of selfishness in that statement. Jonah. I'm talking about Jonah, the prophet. I'm talking about him. Because Jonah was wrong for that. If Jonah knew that him not being on the boat was the solution, he should have jumped off. But the truth of the matter is people can know that they're the reason for your storm and not be willing to exit themselves. You got to learn how to throw people over. You got to learn how to get them off your boat. You got to learn how to stop allowing their disobedience to thwart your obedience. You got to learn that. And listen, the more we placate them, the more we, baby them, the more we answer all their problems, the less they have to figure it out. When you're grown, you figure it out. If you ain't willing to figure stuff out for yourself, you ain't grown. Stop saying it. When you're grown, you handle your business, your situations, your circumstances. And I'm not saying that you can't have help, but you got to be a participant in your own liberation. When you don't want to be a participant in your own liberation, you don't want to be free. You don't want to be free. You want someone to carry you. You're like the man who sat beside the pool at Bethesda. And when the waters would be stirred, he'd be mad because other people got in or had people that put them in. And he never got in when the water was stirred. Whole time, he didn't even need the water. He needed an encounter with Jesus, which he had. And when he had that encounter, his healing didn't come in the stirred water. Jesus simply said, arise, take up thy bed and walk. As long as you keep picking people up and carrying them, they'll never take up their bed and walk. They'll always be looking for someone else to carry them, angel number 166, waiting for someone to pick them up, waiting for someone to come along and rescue them. And honestly, you're part of the problem. Listen, I've been part of the problem. I own it. I've been part of the problem. And I remember my older kids telling me, Mama, you baby them too much. We could have never done that. We could have never gotten away with that. And they're absolutely telling the truth. They're telling the truth. Never could they have gotten away with some of the stuff the younger ones got away with. Ever. I wasn't going. But you age and you read this stuff and they say, oh, well, that traumatizes the kids and da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, guess what? I'm traumatized. The kids done traumatized me. Who gonna be traumatized? It ain't finna be me. Listen, my older kids will tell me, Mom, I'm so glad that you raised me the way you raised me. And I know I didn't understand it then, but I get it now. Now I understand why you were hard on me. Now I understand why. When I worked with graduate students, they would come back later and say, I didn't understand why you made me take that class. And I didn't understand why you were so hard on me. But I took this class and everything that you had taught me, I was already prepared for it. Thank you. Sometimes you got to be okay with being the villain. Sometimes you got to be okay with people being mad at you. Sometimes you got to get them off your ship, not just to save you, but to save them. Toss them over. Let them assume responsibility. Let them figure it out. You figured it out, didn't you? Didn't you figure it out? They'll figure it out. Trust in the brain power that's in them, the God that's in them, that they'll be able to figure it out the way you figured it out. See, that's how they build up their confidence and their ability to solve problems, is by allowing them to solve some problems. If you solve all of their problems, they never learn how to solve problems. They're always looking for someone to solve them. You think you're doing your kids a favor, you're not. You think you're doing your family a favor? You're not. Sometimes you've got to toss them over to save their life. God had Jonah so much so that he sent the big fish to swallow him, to protect him from the elements. But he was protected in what looked like a horrible situation. It looked like a horrible situation because he was in the belly of a fish. Looked like it was a horrible situation. But God used the fish and that situation to get him to the place that he was supposed to be. So stop trying to protect your kids from everything and anything because you don't want them to go through anything. There's some things they're going to have to go through. Some things they're going to have to experience. But it won't kill them. It'll make them. It'll build them if they allow it. Now, if they fight against it and they refuse to learn and refuse to see, life will teach them lessons the way life taught you. I'm not mad when my kids don't listen because I know about that. I'm hard-headed, stubborn, all of that stuff. I know they get that from me, but it means they got to learn some things the way I learned them, the hard way. And the hard way isn't pleasant to watch. It's not, but it's necessary. Because for some people, that's the only way they'll learn. It's the only way they'll get it. You're not mean. You're not a horrible person or a bad parent when you set boundaries. When you allow people to experience the consequences for their choices. Doesn't make you horrible. Now, if you refuse to forgive, then you got to answer to God for that. But you can't continue to allow people to do you any kind of way and think you're doing them a service or they're going to love you more because you did that. No, they're going to disrespect you more. The more you do it, the more they'll disrespect you. Keep doing it and see what they do. Set your standards. Focus on your destiny. Focus on doing what God has called you to do. And when that means that you got to disconnect from people, disconnect. And know that it's all good in the hood. God's got you. You're still loved. You're still usable. And it doesn't matter what stories they tell. And this is the thing that I want to caution. Listen, I want to caution us against this. Creating narratives that aren't accurate. Because the narrative that you create will become the truth and your reality. Be careful of the narrative you create because it will become your truth and your reality. Our words are powerful and we create what we say. Y'all hear me? We create what we say. My kids have this thing sometimes when they're mad at us where they say, siblings, we all we got. You keep putting that into the atmosphere. You cause everything in the universe to create that as your reality so that you find yourself there. No. Siblings aren't all that you have. We have a whole squad of people, a tribe of people that are assigned to our lives and we're assigned to theirs. Don't push them away trying to be a victim in your own story, in your own narrative. Angel number 177. But listen, I ain't mad. I was mad, but I'm not mad. Today, God showed me clearly in this lesson that some things just have to happen. It's a part of the process and a part of the journey. People have to learn. You can't treat people any kind of way. You can't do that. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. And you can't make other people responsible for you and for your choices. People want to help people who are helping themselves, right? They want to help people who have a drive and a determination. I don't mind helping anybody that's trying to do something with their life. What I will not do is try to create a better life for you than you're willing to create for yourself. I will not go without anymore trying to help people who will not do what they need to do for them. I'm not going to be inconvenienced by your irresponsibility because you just think that it's owed to you. No. So let's do better. Let's choose the destiny that God has for us. Let's set responsible boundaries. Let's throw over off your boat those who are creating storms for you in your life and preventing you from getting to your destiny. How badly do you want that, your destiny? How badly do you want to please God, to serve God? That's why, that's why Jesus said, who is my mother? Who is my brother? But those who do the will of the Lord. See, he set a precedent. Yeah, that's my family. Yes, I love them, but I don't love them more than I love the destiny that God has for me and those that God have called me to. He understood that. Now I know we were thinking, why would Jesus say something like that? His mama was outside. You better let his mama in. He better let his mama in. Well, guess what? He needed them to understand that just because this is my blood family doesn't mean that they're more important than my destiny and the family that God has given me. If they don't align with my destiny, they got to go, just like anybody else. Jonah told him to throw him off the boat instead of getting off himself. And the people prayed and they said, God, don't hold it against us. This man's death. Don't hold this man's death against us. Jonah, if he was really about that life, would have got off the boat himself. He would have jumped ship because it saved other people. But it just goes to show you that even a prophet can be selfish and not get off the boat when they know that they're the problem or the issue. That's why I tell y'all, if you're in a church or a ministry and it's creating a storm in that place, your gift is creating a storm in that place, people are not receiving, it's creating division, leave. Don't wait for someone to ask you to leave. You leave. Do what God tells you to do and then exit. Exit. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. So, the affirmation today is, God, reveal who is supposed to be on my ship right now. I am connected to the right people at the right time. I remove those who are not supposed to be on my journey and release them to their journey. I release them to their purpose and myself to my purpose. I am in place. I am blessed. I am a blessing to others. Release. Let go of those people. Throw them off the ship. Throw them off the ship so that you can get to where God is taking you. And they can get to where God is taking them. And listen, I'm telling you, it ain't just about you. It's about them as well. Look, today, we're talking about people. Everybody just can't go. Let them go. Release them so that they can get to where they are supposed to be. Listen, if this word blessed you and you want to sow a seed, you can sow a seed at $, Cash App $DRV Johnson 777. Cash App $DRV Johnson 777. And don't forget, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing the Dr. V Vision Setting class. We're actually going to reset our vision. We're resetting our vision. If you said it earlier in the year, we're resetting it with what we've learned and how we've grown. We're expanding it, revising it, adjusting it, tweaking it. The class is $55. Afterpay is available. VIP is $111, and you get a 1-hour session with me after the class is done so that we'll be able to talk about what God is saying about you and for you and your life. Listen, don't let anybody stop you from getting to your destiny. If you do, it's your own fault. That ain't God. Don't blame God for that. That's you, because you refused to let go and toss them over when you needed to. That doesn't mean that your paths won't cross again. It don't mean that they won't be back on your ship at another time. It just means that right now, they're not supposed to be there. Let them take their journey so they can learn what they need to learn, get what they need to get. And then if it's for you to come back together, you will. And if it's not, live with it. I promise you, you won't die. Look, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing, incredible, and epic day. Be blessed. Mwah.